All right, welcome back to the Chomp podcast. Today we're here with Justin Johnson, redshirt senior with the men's baseball team. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, man?
Doing good so far. First question for you. Talk me to the season. How's it been so far? What do you guys plan on doing for the rest of the year? How's it looking so far?
Season's been off to a great start, team's been playing really well. We're a really deep team, so everybody's been producing at a high level. We just been taking it one day at a time. Just one series. We're trying to win or split every series. That usually puts you in a good spot for playoffs. Our main goal, like always, is to win the conference, make it to super regionals on the World Series as long as we can go. So it's been good so far.
And you mentioned just taking advantage of each series. You guys are like off to a really good start. And, you guys just recently had a series sweep against Cal East Bay.
Yeah.
How was that series for you? You homered in 4 straight games.
Yeah.
So you got a hot bat right now. So
yeah.
How was that?
It's great. A sweep's always awesome. It's our first sweep of the year. Huge too on the road, versus the conference opponent. I've been swinging it pretty well. I've been working with my coaches lately, so huge shout out to them. Coach White and Schiff really helped me with my approach, and we made some minor tweaks throughout the week, and they really came to light during the series. The whole team is swinging a great bat right now. You got guys like French, Derek, and Dan Murillo. They've been doing a good part of their self too. So, we just got to keep it up, keep it going.
When you're in that zone, just being a hot hitter, what does that kind of feel like to the normal viewer that doesn't play baseball? What's that feeling like? How could you turn that into like a real life perspective?
I don't know. It's really hard to explain. Like once you are in the batter's box, it kind of like, as cliche as it sounds, like everything kind of like zones out and it's just you versus that guy. Like you don't hear anything and you're just like focused. So like, especially when you're hot, the ball just looks really big and you're just trying to, keep it intact and not get too big and anxious at the plate. So I mean, I know that might not be a great way to explain it, but that's just how it is, It's just you zone out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like one thing I wanted to like ask you was like, like baseball is like a really superstitious sport for people who don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like when you approach the batter's box, like what is like your mindset? What's your routine? Like what's a superstition maybe somebody don't pick up on just by watching the game?
So I think if you check with a lot of hitters, they kind of have the same superstitions. Mine is like I have to look at the barrel, zone out, and like I kind of give myself like positive reinforcement saying like you're the best here, no one can beat you, like this guy has nothing on you. So it's kind of like self-hype when you get to the plate. A lot of stuff is like I use the same bat weight. I do the same 3 things on deck. I usually do like 3 swings. Then I stare at the scoreboard and like focus myself in. So it's like everybody has like a routine that you do, and that's kind of like our superstitions.
Talk to us a little bit about the journey to SF State. You played at Jackson State before. How was that kind of transition from Jackson State to SF State? What was kind of different for you?
I'd say it's a lot different. I played in the South. It's HBCU, so there's a lot of people like me on the teams, and we still have a good amount. We're a really diverse team, but that was a big difference. It's different play styles. We were more of in Jackson, we were a small ball, speed, steal bags type of team, where I feel like this team, we're a deep lineup. We get hit, doubles, home runs. I think 1 through 9, there's potential of someone going deep, So I'd say that's the main difference. Baseball is usually the same everywhere else. It's just how you play it,
You also touched on a little bit, being at Jackson State, and, being around people who look like you. I know for many people of color, especially Black people who do attend HBCUs, it's like kind of it's like a different dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know it's a different atmosphere, especially too out there. So
Yeah.
part of that adjustment period, how was it like? What are some of like the little things that kind of took you a while to get used to, like being like at like a PWR or a place that's more diverse rather than at Jackson State?
That's a good question. I don't know. That I actually don't know because I've been lucky enough where I've been very diverse in my schooling. So I've been to schools where it's mainly minorities, mainly PWI. So like I wouldn't say there's really not that much of a big difference. I would say more like social lives are a little different, being like different settings and surroundings, but like I don't know, it's all pretty much the same to me.
So what was kind of that when you came to SF State? How did that conversation with Coach Schiff have? I mean, I always look at Coach Schiff as someone that, he's like a leader of a family. How was that kind of conversation with him like when you got here?
Like when I got recruited?
Yeah.
Um, it's actually a crazy story how I got recruited. I don't even know if I can say it, but so
Say it.
basically, I went to Jackson State. I graduated. I was kind of done playing, and I put my name in the transfer portal just to see, because I wanted to play somewhere close to home. I'm from Sacramento. I wanted my family to see me play more, and I really had no offers or really no like serious inquiries. I talked to a couple other coaches, but no one really followed through. And like I think a week or two before school started, Schiff reached out to me, went on a visit, and then we were trying to figure everything out. So I didn't really get enrolled in the school like a week until after school started. So I was very late. So like I showed up like I think a week and a half after they started doing meetings and practices. So it was like I don't know, it was an interesting recruitment because I get there and I'm trying to get filled in quick. So yeah, that's kind of how it came.
And just talking about that adjustment period, like with it being quick, was it like any doubts or anything that you had going on? Like, man, like am I gonna be like up to speed in time, or was it just straight baseball? Like,
No, I knew that like in the off season, which was the summer for me, I didn't play summer ball. I prepared myself right. Uh, I was doing a lot of hitting, a lot of fielding. I just wanted the opportunity to come out, and Shafano gave me that, and I'm very appreciative of it. So like I knew once we got to the field, it's all the same. I've been playing baseball since I was 5 years old and 23 now, so it's like I know how it goes. It's not nothing new. So I was ready for it.
So when born in Sacramento, so how did it kind of feel going away from home, going to Jackson? What was that like? Talk to me. Did you miss home?
Yeah, I miss home a lot. I mean, living in Mississippi is a lot different from Sacramento, especially in Jackson, Mississippi. So it's like it was a big adjustment for me. It's a small town in the middle of like the South compared to Sac, which is not even like a big city, you would say, but it's like doubles that city, if that makes any sense. So it was a lot like I'm really close to my family, so I like to visit them. I still go when I have like an off weekend to go home and visit. So like not having that was pretty tough. And then like, in order for me to see them, they have to catch a flight instead of driving just an hour to come watch our games, and I can hang out with them after. So I mean yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
my question would probably just be more of a preference question because being like Cali baseball players have a certain swag to them.
Mm-hmm.
So like being down south, like do you prefer being out in Cali with everybody else like who has like the same kind of swag, or did you kind of like feel the aura a little bit being down south?
I actually I kind of liked it down there because I mean it's down south, but we had so many people from that team from different areas. So like that team we had like 5 kids from Puerto Rico, 3 kids from Dominican Republic, a kid from Curacao, kids from like Atlanta, Chicago, New York. So it was like so many different personalities. It was very cool to see. But I think Cali has the best swag. We used to always joke about that. Who had the best swag, the best baseball drip, all that stuff. Who's the best players? What state is? Yeah. So that was always fun to joke around and like mess with them about. Which I still to this day agree that California's got the best.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So how did that conversation kind of end? Who won the battle at the end?
It's really hard to get through with the Puerto Ricans and the Florida kids. They always think that they're the best, which I mean, it's hard to argue with them because they got all the big leaguers and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was always funny going back and forth with them. Yeah.
So what was kind of like when you got the call from Schiff? Were you just like, oh, that's the school I'm going to? Like, I need to go back home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. He called me and he was like, well, do you want to come out here and see how you do in the fall? And I was like, fully on board. Like, let's do it. Let's get after it.
How was the fall experience for you?
It was cool. I liked it a lot. Fall was pretty fun. We got the opportunity to play at a couple schools. We had to play USF, a couple of JUCOs around there. So it was really fun meeting all the new guys. I like coming into a new like atmosphere and meeting people and kind of like experiencing the culture. And I really liked it from the jump. It's really cool. I mean, Schiff has a great program, and how he runs it is amazing.
What was that? What was the point where you were like, oh, like I'm good at baseball? Was baseball always like the first option for you when you were younger, or was it a second option to another sport?
I mean, it was always the first option, but I didn't really get good at baseball until like my sophomore, freshman year in high school. That's when I kind of realized like, okay, like I could potentially do something with this, you know? Like earlier in life, I was playing basketball, football, baseball. I was always good at basketball, but that's because I was just taller when I was younger. Now looking back at it, I really wasn't that great. And then football, I played my freshman year. I did really good. And then I remember I was gonna play football my sophomore year, and I was starting baseball, and I did like this is the first year I kind of like turned some heads in baseball my freshman year. And people were telling me like you got to do all this, this, and this to get to the next level. And I never really had that conversation with anyone for football. So then that's when I sat down with my dad and realized like, okay, we should probably turn full focus into baseball and just cut out all the other sports. And that's when I did that and just went from it there.
Something that caught my attention too was just you playing the two positions, being first base and third base, man. Like you playing the hot corners, and like while they both are the corners, is like both are very unique in their own way.
Yeah.
So which one do you prefer, and like how was that adjustment period? Like how long have you been like playing the two positions, and what was that like growing up?
I didn't start playing first until my last year at Jackson State. I mainly played third, and then I would play first like maybe once in a while, like just in case if we needed someone or someone got hurt and they needed me. But I don't really think there's a big adjustment period. I mean, I feel like if you could play third, you could play first. It's kind of like one of those type of deals. You could play one of the hot corners, you could play the other. I think it's a lot harder to play third. I prefer to play third. It's been my main position my whole life. So like I played third and short growing up and first. So like I'd much rather play third than first. But I think first is also very nice because you have more time. You could just knock the ball down. You don't have to really make any throws half the time. So yeah.
What was did you kind of get a culture shock whenever you went to Jackson? Because at the time, Jackson was kind of like popping at the time. Deion Sanders was there during that time. What was kind of the difference between, Sacramento and Jackson in terms of just a cultural thing?
It's a big difference. I would say they're a lot more proud. I mean, like school pride is a real thing out there, especially the HBCU. They go hard for their schools, and I saw it firsthand. I remember going to football games, 50,000 people at every game. You can't park unless you're like 2 miles away from the stadium. They have to walk. We'd have like school band. They were treated like gods there. They would get like police escorts. It was crazy. I would wear like just this, like in Jackson State gear, go to gas stations, get free food. People would just be like, "You play baseball?" I'd be like, "Yeah." Show them my roster pick, and be like, "Hey, we're coming out this weekend to watch you guys play. Here's like, just take your water. It's on me." And I'm like, "All right, for sure." So it's like, yeah, it was a huge culture shock. That like when people say that the South rides or dies with college sports, it's a real thing. We play like Mississippi State, Louisiana Lafayette, like all the big schools down there, and they would be like sold out crowds. It's a crazy atmosphere to play in. Yeah.
That leads me to my next question, just like with it being so crazy down there. I know when Deion left, it was kind of like a big deal going on. And I know one of the things he pointed out was just like, wow, it was like a lot of celebrities showing up to games. It was crazy atmosphere. He was also pointing out like it was a lot of things that were swept under the rug that they weren't talking about at the university, with like, people's cars getting broken into, students not having money to eat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you see that side of it too? And like, just from your perspective, what was that like?
Yeah, I did. So Jackson had a water crisis my sophomore year, or my junior year there. And I had no water in my apartment for like a month. So like that's like a real thing. We didn't have no water. I had to go to like 2 towns over to go shower at a Planet Fitness like after practice, and then we'd have to like go to school and get like water cases. But yeah, I mean there's a lot of I think Jackson State did a good job though. We had a lot of more stuff than like all the other schools had, if that makes any sense. We were well like fed. We were well taken care of, I would say. But there was a lot of stuff that could have been better, but I think it was still a good experience I had.
Talk to me about now how different it is when you're going to SF State and there's like this culture shock where there's SF State's not really known as a sports school compared to maybe the South where it's ride or die.
Yeah.
What did that kind of feel like playing your first game at SF State?
I don't know how to say it, but it felt like kind of felt more relaxed, I would say, because you're in a hostile environment. Like if you go on the road, it's like it's brutal down there. Yeah, you're like they're yelling at you, and like people are sitting right behind the on deck circle on your thing talking, and it's like you're like I'm just trying to gotta focus on the game, focus. Now it's kind of like, I look, see my parents in the crowd. There's a couple other parents there. It's pretty chill. No one's really like yelling at each other. It doesn't get really like we call it like chirping. No one really like chirping back and forth at each other. So I mean, I like it. It's more relaxed. Yeah.
That's crazy because I was going to ask you, like, I know down south there's some crazy scenes in the stands that be happening. Like, can you recall like any like what's like the craziest thing you've heard like from the stands or even just seen?
I don't think I can say any on here. But I just remember we played at Alabama A&M, and this was my second start, and I'm on the on deck circle, and like they're just yelling at me, just everything. They're like, turn around, 25, just like keep yelling at me. They're like, your shoes are ugly, like just like going off like everything they could possibly think of. And then I hit a line drive, and they're like, all right, you all right? And I like kind of nodded at them. And then my next at bat, I like hit a weak pop up in the infield, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that just like we thought. You're sorry." Like, just screaming at me as I'm like walking back to the dugout. So that's probably like that was normal, but I remember that was the craziest one that I experienced.
So from like a psychological standpoint, do you like the chirping whenever you're like at the on deck circle, or is it just it's whatever to you and you like it more here?
I mean, it's whatever to me. I mean, I think it's cool sometimes because it gets you more motivated. It kind of puts more like fire under your guts. Like, all right, I'm gonna show these people what I got. Like, it kind of adds more confidence for me. But I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'm more focused on myself and winning games, trying to help the team. So yeah.
One big question I have for you is food. What's the difference between here and at Jackson? Which one do you like more?
I ain't gonna lie, like we had I've been to City Eats here, but we had our own version of it there. The food there was
blown out of water.
Yeah. It was way better. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a whole bunch of restaurants out there that's pretty good. Yeah.
And then just with you playing third base, like mostly growing up, who was like those guys you looked up to in the pros? Like just your favorite players?
My favorite player growing up was well, the one that plays my position was Manny Machado. I love Manny Machado. But weirdly enough, I'm a Dodgers fan, and my favorite player of all time growing up was Matt Kemp. That's the guy I really liked a lot. He was
respectable.
Yeah. I still have a signed baseball from him in my room. Yeah, that was my hero growing up.
What kind of led you to being a Dodgers fan?
Yeah.
So I was always just a fan of baseball, and my dad actually made me pick a team. He was like, you got to pick a team. You can't just like everybody. It's like I had a football team. I had a basketball team. He was like, why don't you pick a baseball team? I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't watch enough. I don't like I got favorite players and stuff. And he was like, well, figure out a team. And I was kind of looking at it. And Matt Kemp at the time was like in the MVP race, doing really good. That was one of my favorite players. And I remember I didn't want to be like everybody else. I didn't want to be a Giants fan because that's everybody in my circle was a Giants fan. That's all they talked about. So I kind of wanted to play the villain role. I was like, all right, I'm a Dodgers fan. And it worked out because they weren't that good back then. Yeah. And then now they're good now. So it was a good investment.
Yeah. It definitely worked out in the end for you guys.
Yeah.
That man about to catch heat, man. That's crazy.
So how do you feel about the team now? You guys are doing really well in conference. What do you guys kind of just, it's an everyday sport basically. So how do you kind of try to stay level-headed in terms of not get too high and not get too low after a win or loss?
I mean, baseball, it's a roller coaster sport. You could be up and be down. Like just for instance, we had a bad weekend the week before, and then we're on top of the world this weekend. So you kind of just have to keep it one game at a time, just trying to win each game that you play at, take each day seriously. I feel like we do a good job. We kind of prepare the same way each week, no matter if we do good or bad, we don't really like change much. We just stay the level course, and that's what we have to do. You have to realize each week's not the same. So like, just got to prepare.
Probably one of my last questions would just be like, while you are like on a crazy hot streak right now, like I know as an athlete, like everybody's always gonna try to be perfect. So what are some of the minute things that you recognize in your game that you do want to improve on as the season continues?
I just put the ball in play more. You put the ball in play, good things happen. I think my strikeouts are a little too high than I like them to be, but just staying aggressive, staying with my approach, putting the ball in play. I mean, you hit the ball as hard as you can, you could be out. You hit the ball weak as you can, you could be safe. So it's really just if you just constantly put pressure on the defense and put the ball in play. I always was told good things happen, and they usually do. So just trying to keep putting the ball in play. That's it.
Yeah, kind of like a follow-up question to his. What in a sport like baseball where you're mostly failing more often than you're succeeding in terms of batting, how do you kind of psychologically when you get a line drive and it feels great off the bat and then it's in a glove in the outfield, how does that kind of change your approach, or do you kind of just be like, okay, I hit the ball hard, it didn't end up in the outfield and on the ground, but that's a pitch I like?
I don't know. I'm kind of weird. Like if I hit a bloop single, it feels good, but I'm actually more mad than if I hit a ball 100 and someone catches it, because I know like, oh, I just hit it at him, but like that felt really good, So, I mean, I always just try to don't look at the stats, take it one at bat at a time. Like I never check any of my stats throughout the season. I just worry about having quality at bats, just either trying to get on base any way I can, hit the ball as hard as I can, see good pitches. Like you got to really make it simple. You just got to play it like nothing matters. Like it's just, all right, this at bat, I struck out. Okay, what's my next at bat gonna look like? Let's just move on. I hit a home run. That doesn't matter. You're only as good as your next at bat. So that's kind of like my mentality. Is you're only as good as your last at bat or your next at bat. So you just got to keep pushing.
Perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Good luck on the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go Gators.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for watching the Chomp Pod. We'll be back with more episodes.